I might have to run and grab somebody else. So
Okay.
if you need anything, I can get that.
Inshallah.
Did you order already? No, yeah, let's go ahead.
I did already.
Oh, you ordered? Oh, you already?
pizza?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I thought you
Yeah,
already did.
I did it. It comes to the back door.
Okay,
So-
you don't need me to go pick it up.
No, they'll bring it here as soon as they get done. All right. Well, I guess we're going to go ahead and get started with what we're doing, plan on doing. Assalamu alaikum. Me.
Everybody, the email is about to get started, so.
I'm a speak a little loud. I'm a little soft spoken sometimes. Anyway, we say assalamu alaikum, and of course we'd like to welcome you to our open house. This is the program we call the 10 Forward, and it is it's a community outreach initiative where we reach out to the open community, to the at large, and we invite people to come and actually get a better idea of who we are, what we're about, plans, and everything is, and to let everybody know, let the people know that we're just as much as into this as they are, and that we look forward to having the kind of life that everybody else is trying to live in this country, land of the free and the home. The freedoms that people have here are unique in many ways and unlike many other places in the world. And so a lot of people try to come here, from different parts of the world. We hear all these bad things maybe about America overall, but a lot of people want to come here. People still want to come here. So, and all of us contribute to what America really is. We heard that, and for the past 4 years, let's make America great again. But we all make America great. Everybody in this country, and every people in this country have contributed to making this a great nation, if it can be called that. And we're all here to enhance that greatness and to move that on into the future. But before I get really too started, I just want to mention the exit is that way behind you, straight out the back. If something happens and everybody need to vacate, you can go one of 3 ways. You can go to your right or to your left, which is my right and your left. Or you could go straight out, kick that door straight behind you and run up the wheelchair ramp and run out, if something happens and we have to get out here. The women's restroom is over on this side, and the men's restroom is on that side. It's a fire extinguisher on both sides, and so if anything happens, we'll make an orderly exit. And so my name is Abdul-Rahim. It's like Abraham. Actually, it's the same name as Abraham in the Bible. This is from the Semitic languages, Arabic, Hebrew, etc., are where the pronunciation of my name. And like Brother Abdullah said, I'm the Imam of the Masjid, this mosque. To this Masjid, or this facility, was built by the Syrian Lebanese community that in the earlier part of the 20th century. And the same ones who built the Islamic Center are the same Muslims that built this facility here. And so we've been here since since 2010. This particular facility is the first one built in the state of Ohio, and of course in the city of Toledo. And they say this is the 7th one in the nation. And so we've inherited that legacy, and from those pioneers who established this here. And of course our objective is to continue on in that direction. So again, the program is called 10 Forward. And what we do in 10 Forward is that 10 months out of the year, which beginning with the month of February through November, we put on an open house again to where we do community outreach. Which, even though this facility really is open every day to the public, but we concentrate on it a little bit more so on the last Sunday of each month, trying to or making an attempt to let people know that we're all in this together, and that we're as much as involved with and as concerned with where the community is going, and that we're all a part of, and that we all really hope to make better. God willing, that is. And so that's the name. In fact, the name comes from I'm a Star Trek fan. How many of y'all Trekkies in this room? So I've seen just about every episode of Star Trek there is. But on Star Trek: The Next Generation, they had, where Whoopi Goldberg was the bartender. They called that place 10 Forward, and it was for, everybody to socialize that. And so me being understanding that or knowing that, I kind of borrowed from that, plagiarized from that, and took the name and called this program 10 Forward. And again, it's the of the year, the best months hopefully for the weather, that is, even though February normally, we having fantastic weather for February, have to hand for the global warming thing. So anyway, to go on, we do put together what you call a program. Of course, we already done busted the times on them. And so we're gonna open up. We always start with a supplication or prayer when we open up our meetings and our gatherings, because we always want to recognize our Creator first, and without our Creator giving us the abilities to do what we're doing and to have what we have, we would not be able to do those things. We always start with that, and in our way, it's called Al-Fatiha. It's similar to church prayer in the Christian religion, but it's called the opening chapter of our holy book that we we recite at least 17 times a day on our daily prayers, and it goes. And I'm going to just do the English variation of it. It goes with the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. The praise is due to God, the cherisher and the sustainer of the worlds, the most gracious, the most merciful. Master of the day of judgment, you alone do we worship, and your aid we seek. Show us the straight way, the way of those upon whom you have bestowed your grace and your favors, and not the way of those who incur your wrath, and nor those who... Amen. 2020. And 2020 implies perfect vision. When you got 2020 vision, that means you see real good. If you don't have 2020 vision, then that means you need some glasses, or you need some corrective lenses if you don't have 2020 vision. And so we decided to use that as a backdrop to go into the topic and discuss some of the things that we wanted to discuss, and hopefully not just for this particular month, but throughout the rest of the year, because I think what's really, really important is vision, being able to see and being able to see correctly, being able to see far. They have terms they call it nearsighted and farsighted. Now literally speaking, you really want to be farsighted, and you really want to be too. You want to see what's up close. You want to see what's the distance out. So but if your eyes, if your eyes is like that, then you got to get some glasses. Reading glasses. When you get up in age, it get harder for you to focus on little things right in front of you. But but I do still have a 20/20 vision. I guess I do, but I can still see without glasses. But when it comes to reading, I gotta put them glasses on. So there may always be a time when we may need or needs guidance, and it's guidance that comes from God. And that's I think where man or we as humans are failing, is that we fail to recognize the gift that God gave us in Revelation to the prophets. You know, we've become so accustomed to the conveniences of modern society that we forget that man's ability to do all comes from God. And man borrows everything that he gets from God, what God showed him. And so no matter how technologically advanced, we still owe that all to God, ability to do that. I mentioned to many people that we're 1400 in our faith. We're 1441 years removed from Prophet Muhammad, the prayers and the peace be upon him. And for Christians, we're 2,020 years removed from Christ. That's a long time ago. No one living today have no connection to events that happened in the past. We only can refer to them by what people have left us, by way of scripture, by way of books, history, etc., etc. And we trust that. We trust that the people in the past left us is enough for us to keep going. That's what we do. Because if we couldn't trust that, we couldn't use it. If we didn't trust it, we wouldn't use it. So we trust that what's been left with us is enough for us to continue on. Even though we may not know what it's bringing to us. But we have an idea of whatever it is that we're working for, whatever it is that we want to establish, whatever it is that we're trying to do, that we're setting the groundwork, that we're setting the foundation for it. So we went on to say building an infrastructure for our legacy. I really sit down a long time and I think about what I'm going to say. And in the state of Ohio, I'm what you call a contract chaplain for the state of Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections. And so I've been doing that for a very, very, very extremely long time. Longer than I care to say, but over 35 years. One of the things that we always have to be mindful of is that people, no matter where we are or what we are doing, we still have to figure out a way to move forward together. So when we start talking about vision and infrastructure and things like that, sometimes we don't even have an idea of where that's going or what that means. So we said that this month's theme is 2020 Perfect Vision for the Future. And vision, these words that we use, we use them sometimes just in happenstance. And so we really don't know the value of the words, see the impact of some of the words that we use every day, vision. But if you have vision, that means vision is the faculty or the state of being able to see. And when you start thinking about infrastructure, what is that? That's not terms we use regularly. Infrastructure. What is that? Infrastructure. We can see the word structure in there, but that first part of it, the infrastructure is the part you really don't see. If you look at the human body, the infrastructure, the skeletal system is you don't see that. Only time you're gonna see the bones is if something happened. Then you get a glimpse of the infrastructure. But as long as it's functioning, and it's functioning in such a way that where it's carrying things and you don't even know it's working. How do we don't even concern ourselves with that, right? Most of the time we don't concern ourselves with stuff like that. To cut the water on. What had to call the city and tell them to pay the bill, right? And the water's on. But that when you drive around all these cities and you see those big towers with the city name on it, there's water up there. And that's what creates the water pressure. When you turn the water on, when you turn your faucet on, the pressure of that water sitting way up there pushes down. That's what gives you your flow of water. So in other words, there's no in your basement pushing that water, pushing the water through the pipes. It's the weight of the water. Somebody had to think of that. Somebody had to come up with an idea for that, for it to happen like that. That's infrastructure. The things that go on in the life, that go on in the circumstances, that go on in the situation that they pay a whole lot of attention to. But somebody has to be mindful of those particular things for them to work. And they have to be maintained. They have to be maintained. Right now, you go around, you see the big construction going on. They got the ground opened up, pipes laying underground and all that kind of stuff. The city pipes get all rusty on the inside. They break underground, and all those things. Somebody has to pay attention, a particular attention to the infrastructure of what's going on in whatever environment that you're in. So vision and infrastructure, they're two different things, but they go hand in hand when you start thinking like that. Because when you're talking about infrastructure, that means that you had something. And you're planning on how, just like even when you something as simple as flushing the toilet. That's infrastructure at work. How are you going to get that waste out of your facility? You don't think about that. You just go in there and flush the toilet. You don't think about where the water going. They have sewage treatment, all of that stuff. And all of those things are working that many times we don't pay any particular attention to. But somebody had the vision when they designed the cities and they designed skyscrapers, when they designed all of these things. All of those, the infrastructure is one of the things that have to be taken into consideration for it to work. And for it to, and so that's the kind of thing that it really doesn't, that we're not used to thinking about, And we're a part of we're assimilated into the overwhelming cultural assimilated, and so that assimilation brings about complacency, because again, like I said, we're used to all of these modern conveniences. So we don't feel like we got to do anything. You don't think you have to do anything because everything seems like it's being done for you. But it really is not being done for you. It's just that the wheel is turning so, the inertia of the wheel is turning so much so by the time you figure it out, you may be up in age or in your grave. By the time you figure out, I could have went this, I could have did that. This could have happened in that way. The flow is not the way to go. It just happens. And like I said, we become complacent and we become so used to it that we just accept it as it is. Now, we live in a world where there's so much diversity, and we have rich and poor. In a country like America, there shouldn't be a homeless person in this country. There's enough wealth in America for every human being in America to not be homeless and to not be hungry. But how come that seems to be a problem? That's because, again, everybody's just going with the flow. When they decide they're going to, urban renewal comes in and they come in and rebuild parts of town. But some people get displaced by that. Just like on many of when you're on the West Coast, the rent in some places where you pay $2,000 a month rent, it prices you right out of the house, out of your apartment, to where you got people living in the suburb, in the subway, living under the viaducts, living on the streets. Because they can't, even though they might have a job, they can't afford to pay the rent, the high cost of rent, because somebody's making money off of that. Somebody's getting rich at your inconvenience, because you're not paying it really good. How many of us, we really think we can see good? We think we can see well. That's the illusion of vision. That's the delusion of vision. When we think we can see well, but we really don't see well. We're not even aware of the fact that we may not be seeing very well. Not even aware of it now. So vision is important, and that's where we come when we come to the idea of what we call leadership. Leadership is supposed to provide vision and direction for where you or where we want to go with the life that we live in community. That's what leadership's for. You have leadership is running houses now, though, right? You got kids running the house. The parents don't run the house like they did in today's society. Like we used, my mama ran her house. My mother didn't have no problems out of us, none. My mother was a firm hand. She, you know, our parents and our grandparents stuff like we've been forced to take now from our children. Had to be quiet on that for a minute, huh? We don't, you know, when we start talking about our children, you know, because we don't, you know, I can remember when I was my neighbor, any adult on my street could discipline me. You better not go down the street doing something your mama don't want you doing, and the neighbor see it, it's gonna be out, and you know you in trouble when you get there, when you get home. We used to know, we knew everybody in the neighborhood, blocks over. Now, really, where I live at, I know the person on this side and the little bit of the person on that side. That's it. I don't know nobody else. That's how it is now. That's how disconnected we've got. We think we connected, even though we think we connected. Disconnected, and it's a sad state of affairs in many. So. 2020 vision means that you can see well. It means that you can see good. Where are we going? You know, you're driving your car, you know, they even make you get, you know, when you get your driver's license, they check to see if you can see. They don't want you driving no car and you can't see that good. Out there driving around with all these people, high rate of speed, you know, zooming down, you can't see. Ain't no telling what you're gonna run into. Might hit one of my kids, you know, or one of their kids, right? So vision is very important. It's very important to be able to see correctly. It's very important to be able to see correctly. And it doesn't necessarily, it's not limited to a corrective lens on the outside. It's also connected to a corrective lens in your mind and in your heart. Your heart has to be in the right place and your mind has to be in the right place for you to see right. If you ain't feeling right about something, it's going to be hard for you to think right about it. You ain't going to be able to see right because you don't feel right. When you pressed with something, when something is bothering you, it makes it very difficult for you to see. What do you have to do? You have to calm yourself, don't you? They say, you have to settle down. Hey, chill out. Just so you can get a what? So you can get a focus on what needs to be done and how you should go about addressing that particular matter. Because if you don't address it right, you know, that's why the prisons is full now. Because they love to put you in jail, right? That's the first of them. I mean, this prison industrial complex is going on right now, boy. There's people making big money off that. They love putting, they don't care right now. They don't care if you're married, single, whatever. Jail. If you do something in this culture. And they love putting you in there. Unless you got a lot of money, you know, you can get out of jail free card, time reduced card. You know, they got those too. You can buy. But for the most part, especially if you're a minority, you're a person of color, you going to jail. So vision is very, very important to see right. And so again, so that brings me to that what we call it leadership. You know, and I tell folks in our faith, I said the sign is in prayer. We have what we call prayer. I'm talking about an institutionalized form of prayer. It's not just, we don't just bow our heads. We actually have to stand and form a rank. And somebody have to go out front and lead the prayer. It can't be done, you know, it can't just be done any kind of way. And it's telling us a few things. If you're presenting yourself correctly, you gotta have for it. If you want to present yourself, and we presenting ourselves, what the human being has to do. You might not know this, but as a human being, what you're obligated to do is present yourself to God correctly. Yeah. You can't present yourself to God like an animal. God made you a human being. Present yourself to God like a human being. If you don't do that, you're going to lose. That's hell right there. That's the beginning of hell. When a human being hasn't been encouraged, hasn't been instructed, and doesn't have the vision to present themselves to God. Yes, you have to do that. And so for us to present ourselves to God, we have to form a rank. Somebody that knows what the vision should be. We call him the imam, a person like me. It don't have to be a person like me. Because in our faith, every male, especially, the females too, but every male how to lead prayer. In case, you never know, I might fall dead. Or I might get injured. Somebody have to be ready to take over and keep moving. You know, that's how it is. And when you're going on the battlefield, marching forth, you know, somebody got to keep going. If not, the war's lost, right? And so so the sign, I tell us all the time, the sign is in our prayer. You know, and a lot of times we think we're praying to God, but we're praying for ourselves. We're not praying for God. God don't need us to pray for God. We are in our human form, that we're human beings, and that we have a sense of direction, and we're going in the way that God wants us to go. Now you say, you know, in this country, politics and the state and the church is separated. It's not supposed to be like that. The state should be going, everybody should be going towards what God intended for man to go towards. It shouldn't be, oh, well, you know, we God involved. That's what the problem is. That's the problem. At the very heart of our infrastructure, that's where God is. There's a quote in the Quran, in our holy book, which says, God is at that place. Where do you find God? He says he's at that place between a man and his heart. Yes, between, and that's the heart and the brain. God is, that's what, because you have to feel right and you have to think right in order to move forward like a human. An animal creature. He moved forward on his instinct. I see his cousin next door with another trap. He's hungry enough, he's still gonna go and get that. Bow! Right? Those are animals. But God expects us to have vision. And God is giving. And if we use that vision that God gave us correctly, we'll be moving forward into the future that God will be building the future. And we'll be moving forward into the future that God intended for us. So 2020 vision, perfect vision for the future. It requires that we start submitting ourselves to being educated better. You know, when we go to academia, the college nowadays, higher learning, institutions of higher learning, we're going there what? To get some knowledge. And the more you know, the more it's expected that you'll be able to do. Knowledge, not going to do anything. You know, when we look at that flat screen TV there, and we asked the average, how does that work? Most of us couldn't tell you what in there. The furnace, you turn, because all those are infrastructure things, aren't they? Your thermostat on in your house, what happened? You got to work like it's supposed to. You got to call the technician, don't you? You got to call somebody. You can't fix it. Right? Most of us, we can't fix it. Your car go bad. Nowadays, they done made your car so you got to take it to the shop. Right? You got to take it to the dealer. You can't do nothing with it now. Yeah. So in other words, all those are infrastructure things that have to be in order for the bigger picture of life to manifest itself and to function. Those things underneath have to work. But most of us, we're not privy to acquiring knowledge. It takes time. You have to submit to being educated and to being more educated. You have to We're taught, God says, go forward as in a race towards all that's good. Yeah. You're supposed to be competitively moving forward, acquiring the things that we need to acquire, so that it's not just those people that's up at the top that's successful. Think about it. You got, in this society, you got one man that have more wealth than many nations. How is that possible? You got a Mark Zuckerberg type. I'm not knocking them. They're billionaires. Don't know one person need $1 billion. If you can spend $1 billion, there's something wrong with you. On yourself. If you spend $1 billion on yourself, you spurging. It should be it's almost impossible to spend that kind of money on a person. But there are people who have that amount of wealth. I said it's enough wealth to take care of all of us. Every human being on this earth, God has put the resources on this earth for each and every one of us to be taken care of. The infrastructure is there for every human being on this earth to be taken care of. But you have to have vision, and you have to move in that vision to happen. Not a selfish vision, because the vision is supposed to be, you have what they call peripheral vision. When you look straight ahead, you can see out. I can still see my hand out there. That's 180 degrees right here, right? So when you look, you can still see. Vision is something that's how vision works. Vision is covering more than just what you see straight. It's not what they call that tunnel vision. Just looking straight ahead, or blinders on like they have a horse where you can't see but straight ahead. No, that's not human vision. That's not vision for the future. We're supposed to look far enough ahead, and see everything in that area, in that expanse of vision that we can utilize to get where we go. You have to have an idea of where you're going. America has an idea of where it's going. They call it the Constitution. They pass laws every day. In Washington, D.C., they pass some. They writing stuff every day. Every day they got somebody bringing it up. You don't even know what they're doing. They got things they passing on a regular basis. You don't even know how they affect you. Same way at the state level, even at the city level, we don't even know what City Hall doing that affect us every day, because they're already the future of what? Of Toledo. Ohio was planning for the future of Ohio. And America is planning for the future of America. They're all doing that. But you also have to plan for the future of who? You. Your family. What do you want your family? What do you want for your family in the future? What do you want for your children? There's not a people yet who have come in this world that didn't want more for their children than themselves. Don't they? Don't we? Don't we want our children to have it better than we did it? We'll work hard to make sure, my youngest is 14. He told me one day he was hungry. I said, you ain't never been hungry. I said, just say I want something to eat. Because you ain't never missed a day eating in your life. There are some people who don't get to eat, period, for days sometimes. Yes. We take a lot of these things. We take a lot of things for granted. Other people have the luxury of being able to even partake. So, I forget, I lost my thought on where I was going with that, but, yeah. So you ain't never been hungry. Yeah, you ain't never missed a meal. You ain't never went without food. You don't know what it is. You don't know what it's like to be hungry. God for that. So, and I've already made it in my mind. I said, I know how I came up. I got August is here. He knew me since I was 10 years. I was a paper boy at 10 years old. I can remember how we lived. And that, I'm 63 this year, so I'm older than I look. I'm a grandfather, So, but I can remember how it was. And I grew up born and raised here. And I was when we came up. You know, what, you know, when my children, I tell them, you know, they eat a half a salad or a half a burger and throw it away. When we was, the whole burger was gone. I mean, it wasn't no crumbs left. It wasn't nothing left when we ate. We didn't decide. We didn't. What? We didn't. You know. They got the. You know, my children, they love the Burger King Impossible Whopper. That's why I had to go get them Impossible. Guy here today. They had to have those. So we didn't have. It was impossible for us to get a Whopper. You know, when we was coming up. Impossible Burger King. We had McDonald's, Burger King. They was just getting started, you know, when we was kids. 25 cent burger, 19 cent for a burger, 25 cent. You get a good meal for a little bit of back in them days. Yeah, there was something. Those were times. But nowadays, you know, like I said, my point is that we want for our children better than what we had for ourselves. I love the fact that my children miss a meal. You know, I know that they should be missing a few meals though. You know, but I'm happy at the fact that they don't have to miss a meal. We have to think like that and be like that for the future to be like that. Do that make sense to us or not? But it should. We have to start. We don't want to become so assimilated into the overwhelming culture we live in that we think that we just go on with the flow, and then we don't do some of the things that's necessary to be ensure that the future that we're looking for is like it's supposed to be. You have to invest in that. It takes time, it takes money, and first and foremost, it takes leadership. See, we're not, you know, right now, you know, like I said, you know, as much as I don't like what I see going on in Washington, it's still leadership, though. As much as I don't like what I see going on in Columbus and in the City Hall, that's still leadership. We've been conditioned not to respect a whole lot of regard for leadership. But that's the main thing that needs to be supported if we're going someplace. I told you know, earlier that I'm a chaplain at prisons, and I tell the brothers one of the main problems that we have is that we don't stick with something long enough to see the results of it. We don't go. We're not long. That the tortoise and the hare. We start off. You're in it for the long haul. It takes some time. I'm for the long haul. Long haul means that I'm way down at the end. I'm in it till it's over. Because no matter as sure as water is wet, you in this world, you in this material reality until it is over. And so you have to plan to think ahead as to how you want tomorrow to look. Everybody else is doing it. Everybody in corporate America, when they making their plans, they're planning for the future. They're thinking when they're doing what they're doing, they're planning how they want that corporation, how they want that company, how they want that business, how they want that school, how they want that mosque, how they want that church, how they want that synagogue. How do you want your house? How do you want your family to look? We have to start down way at the grave. How do you want how do you want to look? How do you want to look in the future? What do you plan for you in the future? I'm talking about short of the grave. Because the grave is something that we all going in that direction. But prior to that, when you get to the grave, what is going to be your legacy? What are you going to leave behind? What's going to be left once you leave here? Because like we said, the shore is water is wet. You are leaving. And I always tell the brothers, and I tell you, if not today, tomorrow. You have to put that in context. In other words, if you don't leave here today, you leaving here tomorrow. And when tomorrow get here, it'll be today. So it'll be one of those todays or one of those tomorrow. this water's wet. People gonna keep having children. Sure, what we leave them is enough for them, that they don't have to struggle, that they don't have to have going on in their lives what we had going on in our lives that were counterintuitive to the life that we really, really wanted. That's going to take some work. That's going to take some planning. That's going to be something, it's going to take some doing. And it's going to be something that you have to stick to. You're going to have to be regular with it. You can't wait until it's too late. Do all those little incremental things that need to be done till you get where you want to go. And then leave enough there. Leave enough to where, the people that's left here can still do something with what you left with. So anyway, that was basically what I wanted to talk about today. Thank you all for coming and spending your time. And hope to expand on that theme for the rest of the year. I mean, because when we talk about business, that's the future. Education, that's the future. Leadership, that's the future. And your spiritual life, if it ain't intact with that is indeed the future, isn't it? Yeah. So those are the things that are relevant and most important for life to take the supposed to take. And we have to be about that business. And so we thank you again for your time and attention. We have a whole lot of vittles and food over here. I think it's more than enough, everybody. Plus we got some pizzas. And hopefully us as the month, many of you know we have the month of Ramadan. It's fast approaching. It'll be on us within the next 60 days or so. And so we do a lot of community service. We have a free clothing store. We have a free food pantry that's actually getting ready to be expanded upon. We've got a lot of things going on in the mosque itself. This here is the community mosque. I've been out to some of the other mosques and they're beautiful places. They say fascinating. I was at one of them. Man, I mean, they ain't wasted a penny here, boy. They spent some money. But I would rather see the money go to you. I would rather see the money that we spend on things to look good. I'd rather see the doing good and being good and helping people be healthy and helping people be fed and helping people be clothed. That's where the money needs to go. There's no sense in us having money because money is just a tool. And we have to see it like that. It's something that we can use to get something built, to get something done. It's not something that we want to hoard and, to say I got a big bank account. I'd like to have a big bank account. But if I had a big bank account, it's for the benefit of everybody. It's not for just my benefit. And that's how we have to start seeing things. Because as we said, we're all in this together. No matter what, we're all in this together. No matter what our hue is, that's our color. No matter what our ethnicity is, no matter what our religion is, no matter what our politics are, no matter what any of those things is, that create division, no matter what those things control, we're still all in this together. Comes down to it. And normally it's adversity, that brings people together. But we want to be together in good times, just as like we be together in bad times. So without any further ado, I would imagine that if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to entertain them. Or you can let me know what you think. I know I probably said a whole lot there. I didn't really, I always make up all these notes and stuff and think about what I'm gonna say, and all that. I never go by them. Always you get speaking from the heart, and I know what I want to say. Usually, yeah, yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So, can you give it to us in a nutshell to simplify it for those that might not be on the level to understand it more? Elaborate.
Well, I don't know if I could simplify it any more than we have, but I think he's asking. When we say 2020 vision, 2020 is perfect vision, but at least good vision. and we have to be able to see better than what we've been seeing, you know. And we do see all of the things that are going on in the society that are counterintuitive. We see those things already, you know, and we have to. I think it's important for us to start to address them a little bit more effectively.
Like from a grassroots level,
Mm-hmm.
like being in the ghetto.
Mm-hmm.
What type of concept do you recommend that we work on as friends, brothers and sisters from this area?
I think that.
So if we don't have the money to work on building that infrastructure right now, what do we use just in black? That's all of the things that we lost.
You know, I think the most important thing to do is to focus on the young people and what we want them to, what we envision for them, what we want for them, and what we think is in their best interest. You know, the city of Toledo went around a few years ago and they rebuilt a school in the city, except a couple. You know, they did that. In other words, because they were thinking about one school that they didn't do was Scott High School. The Scott High School is the one over here on Collingwood there. It looks like an old Gothic castle that Dracula is getting ready to fly up out of any time. That's what I always say. And so I was in the time when, and I had to, so I didn't get to put my voice in. And I told them, I said, what you should do is ask the kids what they want, how they want that school to look like, not just the parent. Because when you go look at Woodward, Bowser, I mean, it's art facility. I mean, the children, the guy go there, man, this is my school, you know. Wow, you know. And so the focus should always be on whatever it is that we're going to do. That's of the young people coming behind us, you know. Because I'm 60. I know I look pretty good for 60, you know. I know. But and so. It's a foregone conclusion. There's probably more days behind me than it is in front of me, and so, you know, so I can't focus on me. You know, I have to focus on the people that at this facility and in this community that I'm responsible for. So that's what I think the best thing is to do. Create something that's going to help our children better. You know, like tutoring. You know. To STEM subjects, whether it's science, technology, engineering, and math, those harder. You know, how many doctors are coming out of our lawyers? You know, how many engineers? Because when you start talking about infrastructure, that's engineering. You know, I'm an engineer. When you start talking about infrastructure, your civil engineers, your mechanical engineers, your architectural engineers, your electrical engineers. We don't just want to be servants. We don't want to just work for McDonald's. We don't want to just be servants. We don't want to be catering just to the service. Because a doctor is a servant in the health industry, right? Which is a very wide industry right now. So the thing that I think the important thing for us to do is start here. Yeah.
That's why the kids are taking over.
Because they're running things, yeah. The kids is running.
You worried about your kid going to tell that you whooped them. Mm-hmm. You feel me? Like, but I'm whooping you because I love you, not because if I didn't love you, I wouldn't whoop you.
Exactly.
You know,
yes, that's right. Yeah, you ain't beating them, you just disciplining them. And they'd be bold enough not to tell you. I'll call children's services on you.
I'ma die for you.
My mother would have reached back in the kitchen. For saying something like that to her. Well, what you gonna do? What? I'm gonna give you a reason to do it, huh? And say, come on, get me. And then she'll tell you, you better find your place to go when I get back.
And there's a lot of parents trying to be friends with their kids, not parents.
So yeah, that's right. But I think if we, and I hope that's a good enough answer for Abdullah. You know, I think if we start there,
You said the children.
that's where we need to start at. What's because they are the future. They are the future, and what's in their best interest. I think that's where we should start at. Yes, sir.